I originally wrote out a script for this video after my third day in Nightreign. Now it's been about a week since release and I've completely rewritten my script. Nightreign is a good game. A very fun game and a breath of fresh air to come out of Fromsoft. A lot of diehard Souls fans might disagree, but I personally like that Fromsoft is letting other directors and team members work on smaller projects that can still be a good time while introducing new ideas, and targeting slightly different audiences to get them into trying a Souls-like. As of right now, I would say I love the game 85% and 15% dislike it, but only because some of the systems at play can feel a little rough, especially on release. The footage in the background is a solo Iron Eye run, going after the Augur Night Lord boss. Probably the worst of all the bosses if you're a melee character, and in my opinion just the weakest of the new bosses in general. Not that that's to say that any of them are particularly bad, this just happens to be the worst one in my opinion. I recorded this run late at night while sick with a nasty cold, so that's my excuse for all the mistakes I made, and for why I still sound like a corpse. You'll also get to see my game freeze here and there, just completely lock the hell up like it's trying to process a black hole. Quite a few people have also been experiencing these freezes and stutters and just complete locks in the gameplay, and they seem to be related to graphics cards, either the newer gen cards, anything from what I've seen online, the 30 series all the way up if you're an Nvidia fan. Some people saying they've got 2080s and it's still getting the same thing. I don't know if it's really to do with the cards or if there's some sort of optimization or memory leak issue with the game, but it's been one of my #1 issues with even playing and enjoying the game in just overall in general. So hopefully Fromsoft are able to resolve that sometime soon, because it really sucks and you'll get to see how badly it can affect things. But anyway, enough of that, let's get into my thoughts. I'll start by saying that Nightreign is going to be hard to get into for people who are new to Souls-likes. It's basically a big budget roguelike mod for Elden Ring that uses a lot of the core principles, spells, items, and combat. The less familiar you are with Elden Ring, the harder it's going to be to understand what you need to do and to get into the flow of this game in particular. Now, speaking of flow, let's talk about the pace of the game. This is something you either like or you don't. Currently, the game is played extremely quickly. Before even dropping in, your team are more likely to be pinging the map, letting you know where they want to go for initial locations. You then hit the ground, start killing at your first camp, and you don't stop from there. Small decisions like picking up weapons, selecting upgrades after a boss fight, or checking the map need to be done very fast, otherwise you'll be left behind by both the game and your teammates. As far as your team are concerned, some will be faster than others, but the game itself does strongly encourage you to be moving very quickly, to squeeze as many key locations in as possible so you can acquire power. You get a short pause after the first night boss, about 20 to 30 seconds, maybe more, feels about 20. Then finally, a true pause before taking on the Night Lord boss at the end of the run. So about 95% of the time, you're going to be moving with little time to strategize, consider your next move, much less communicate with your allies. Now, I'd like a little bit more downtime during runs. We already get the large break after day 2. So my idea is, how about one after the first day as well? So instead of the big wall of flames simply dissipating after the 20 to 30 seconds, keep it there until at least 2 of the party members have walked over to the fire and either cross the barrier or interact with it, sort of like a fog wall. This will let some players catch their breath, adjust to their building situation if they're still umming and ahhing over what weapons they want to be using, maybe the new passives or new effects they got from the boss, and they want to check out some of those very powerful wild walking effects that we get. Check the map, plan some routes for the new day, or maybe just use the bathroom. I feel like it would help some of the newer players get into the game without feeling like they're being forced to move at breakneck pace and not get a chance to really feel what they're doing and experience the world and the game itself, and actually enjoy themselves instead of feeling like they're being led on a leash. Now on to communication. This is something I know a lot of people are having issues with, and it's become a bit of a divisive topic, with some saying leave it exactly as it is, and others saying please make some adjustments. So the game is designed to be played in groups of 3, and while they have recently made some big improvements to solo runs, trios is still the intended formula. However, there's not much in the way of communicating with your team. You have pinging locations on the map, pinging items that you find or your current location, and that's about it. If you join a match with 2 random players, you're basically at their mercy whether they cooperate or not. Now, I know this isn't too different from most multiplayer games, but hear me out. This makes it especially hard to strategize in Nightreign. If you're playing a melee character and the game happens to offer you a nice bow, you could try giving it to your ranger. The problem is, he may have already taken off towards the next objective, and the best you can do is to drop the bow, put a ping on it, and hope for the best, or chase him down like a deranged mailman trying to deliver a package. There are some locations on the map that provide better rewards for different characters. If you're the only mage in the group, good luck getting your 2 melee bros to tackle a location with staff drops like a tower. Bad communication options can make it feel less like a co-op game and more like a group of solo players being forced to get along as a means to an end. The jolly cooperation aspect from previous games is sorely missed. I never really get to know my teammates, do silly emotes with them, do little dances and gestures, and not a single person in any run that I've done so far, true story, hand on heart, has dropped a single prattling pate. No hellos, no I'm sorries, none of it. This is soul crushing. Because of this, the absolute best way to play this game is with some friends in a Discord call. This game suddenly becomes an 11, nay, a 12 out of 10 experience for Souls fans when you do this. Best game, easily game of the year, easily Souls experience of the year for a lot of the guys who are big Elden Ring fans. However, playing with 2 randoms is a bit of a dice roll at times. Sometimes you're all on the same page, absolutely stomping the game, destroy the Night Lord boss and roll this over, and then ask for a harder difficulty because it's so easy. Other times, you've got a guy living out his power fantasy and you're just along for the ride. And then finally, you have people who have absolutely no sense of cooperation whatsoever, running off into different areas, trying to fight things on their own, and the whole run falls apart, seemingly, before it even got started. Now, as the player base does grow and learn the game itself, you're more likely to get teammates who have a decent understanding of what they're doing. The first week, nay 2 weeks, are going to be a growing period for people who are just trying to get used to the new formula and the pace and optimizing their routes and what have you. But that doesn't always mean that what they want to do is what you want to do. I also agree with the sentiment that the game doesn't really need a voice chat or a text chat. Now, they would alleviate some problems, yes, but it would also invite a lot of problems that would come with them. A lot of people would say that adding a voice chat might encourage or enable a lot of toxicity, with certain people getting very aggressive towards their teammates and potentially chasing away part of the player base as opposed to encouraging them to play along. Instead, I'd like enhancements to the systems already in place. Let me set up multiple pings on the map with numbers for each one, so I can set up a 1, 2, 3, 4, letting people know which direction I want to go in and in what order. I originally wanted the power to just draw all over the map so that I could draw lines, circles, write little notes, or just scribble hello, but as my chat pointed out, it wouldn't take long for it to be filled with dicks. Next up, the Night Lord bosses are fantastic, not you. They're well designed, fun to fight, and as always have beautiful music to accompany them. Seriously, every time a new Fromsoft game comes out, I feel like you need to just sit down and listen to the full OST to really just appreciate how good their music is. But I don't like how the boss's weaknesses are handled. Now, before you embark on a run, you get to select which boss you'll be battling and are shown what the boss is weak to. Fire, holy, lightning, poison, madness, etc. These weaknesses don't just allow you to deal more damage, but they also allow you to affect boss mechanics as well. Because of this, each time you begin a run, you know exactly which element you want your team to get. It just so happens that you can see what elements are available at each location on your map. So if a boss is weak to fire, head over to any fire location, cross your fingers for a nice fire weapon drop, and you're good to go. From there, if you're happy with your find, hit up a mine and boost that baby to purple using a tier 2 smithing stone. You can rinse and repeat this for many of the bosses, and you'll always be at least competitively powerful going in. Now, sometimes, unlucky, your map won't have what you need. You need a fire weapon, there are no fire locations on the map. Or maybe it's just too far out of your way to get to specific locations without wasting time and being underpowered before you get to the final fight. And I really like that the elements can affect boss mechanics. I'm not a big fan of them just giving you a big damage boost and a power edge as well. If the effects are going to dynamically engage with boss mechanics, I'm a big fan of that. That's really fun. But punishing you DPS-wise for not getting the fire buff against the Ice Dragon, for example, can feel a little bit bad, where you just want to do as much damage as possible, but because you didn't get the right elements, it can feel like you're being held back a little bit. Each time I do a run, I feel a little too boxed in, is what I'm saying, and I feel a little bit too obligated to go after whatever element is the weakness of the boss. So if I were to go into the Gladius, the triple-headed dogfight, I know that guy is weak to Holy. Now, if there are no Holy locations on the map, so be it, bad luck. But if there are Holy locations on the map, you are simply wasting potential damage, potential mechanic engagement. You're just not playing well if you were to skip getting a Holy weapon in this circumstance if it's presented to you. Now, this can doubly suck if you're stuck on a particular boss and you have to keep going for the same element every run until you finally get over that hump. I know that if someone were, for example, stuck on the Centaur boss that's weak to lightning, I forget his name, but he is a particularly tough guy for some people to beat. He's weak to lightning, and if I were stuck for dozens of runs, maybe even like, 2 to 3 dozen runs, and I'm just being wedged into playing lightning every single time, I might get a little bit bored of it, and I want to do something else, but I really need to beat this guy for either a remembrance quest or because he's the only one left. Now, very quickly, on a small note, a lot of the relics in the game are just bad. Those are the little rocks that you slot into your character to give them a performance boost, and is quite literally one of the only ways that you can meta progress in the game initially until you take down your first Night Lord Gladius. A lot of them will just collect dust in your inventory and don't even have effects that feel very impactful whatsoever. It feels like some of these were just thrown in to make the overall pool feel a bit bigger and to give more effects to pull from when you have triple effects on the big epic ones. On the other hand, there are some relics though that are so powerful they feel like must picks, especially ones that target specific Nightfarers. A strategy that's grown a lot more popular as well is to simply modify your starting weapon. I know Wilder and Executor do this quite frequently. I wouldn't be surprised if Raiders do it as well. Now, either you do this by adding a new skill, preferably with an elemental effect that your boss that you're hunting is weak to, and then once you've done this, you go to the mines, grab smithing stones, and upgrade it, and congrats, you have a pre-built murder machine weapon that you have designed before the fights have even begun. Or you could slap on a relic that just outright changes the damage type. You don't even have to worry about a skill, although if you're looking for things like poison and ice, there are relics that you can put onto your weapons that give you the chilling mist, I believe it is, and ice. Frostbite, I should say, is very potent and very powerful, especially on Executor, and you'll see a lot of that later on when you start teaming up with Executors who have kind of figured this out or learned how to do it. It's just everywhere. Now, this last issue is the biggest one and the most concerning for me. I just spoke about how you won't make any real meta progression until you beat your first Night Lord. Well, for some people, that might take a lot longer than others. And for others, it might be very, very quick. A good friend of mine, Fraud, recently picked up the game. He's not a big Souls fan. He's not one of those guys, but he wanted to play it with his girlfriend. And sure enough, on his third run, he takes down his first Night Lord. Now, he was in a group with 2 randoms at the time, but this experience isn't going to be the same for everyone else. For every Fraud who gets a win on the third run, there is someone who's not going to get their win until 30 or 40 runs. And so with no real way to power yourself up or to gain more potent and more powerful relics, because the random gacha system is a little bit tedious to say the least to try and get powerful relics from. You really do just have to get good, as you would say, or hope that your teammates are competent and know what they're doing and can help you out with getting over that first initial problem. It's a lot of repetition, is what I'm saying. We've got two of the toughest genres at the moment, Souls-likes and Roguelikes, mashed into one. In a normal Souls game, you fight a boss, die, drop some resources, go back, try again, with more modern Souls games eliminating the often tedious run back to try again. But Nightreign is a different beast. It's a roguelike. When you die, that's it. If you want that salty run back against a boss, it's a 40-minute walk back, with a new build, potentially new teammates, every time. If you're someone who needs to fight a boss 10, 20, 30 or more times to learn their moveset to take them down, you're looking at a long slog to get your first few Night Lord kills. Now, I'm not mentioning this because I think it's inherently a bad thing or it's too difficult or we need an easy mode. None of that whatsoever. It's a part of roguelikes after all. You die, you go again. But I am mentioning it because the combination of difficulty with Souls bosses and roguelike permadeath is something I know quite a few people won't enjoy and will probably contribute a little bit to the mixed reception the game has had since release. And on another side note, I'm waiting for the inevitable montages of players helping to carry new people in their runs. Let Me Solo Her style, where you effectively solo a boss scaled for 3-player difficulty, or online communities where you have passwords that allow people to go in and have more experienced players show them the ropes, teach them map routes and layouts and what they want to go for. It's very, very cool, and I like that part of the community and the idea of doing things like that. I know Vardy Vidya often does stuff like that whenever new games come out. His community of people will often band together to not only data mine and source out lore, but also play the game itself and help people overcome challenges. It's awesome, and it's one of my favorite parts of Fromsoft and Souls-likes in general, is the community and camaraderie. Something else I think the game could benefit from is more meaningful progression and options during your runs. The jar vendor back at the home hub feels pretty bare bones as it is, especially considering the majority of relics aren't too useful, as we've previously mentioned. Letting our merc go towards unlocking some new features besides skins would be nice, like allowing us to destroy items we don't want during runs for runes or smithing stones or consumables. An NPC that lets us spend some runes to transfer a skill or spell from one item to another. If you've got a purple sword with a pretty underwhelming ability that doesn't align with your goal, a few runes later at an NPC, and you can transfer the Giant's Hunt from that crappy blue sword you've been stuck with. Something almost every other roguelike offers as well is the option to re-roll your rewards, being able to buy re-rolls from merchants or simply starting with 1 or 2 after unlocking it, maybe behind killing a few Night Lord bosses, not Nightfarers, or even just dumping a ton of merc into buying these re-rolls before you begin a run. It would allow for some more meaningful decision making when coming down to being offered really bad passive upgrades or weapons. And I know we've all been there. You beat the Night 1 or Night 2 boss and you get a bunch of things that do absolutely nothing for your character, and it feels bad. So a few re-rolls might be kind of nice, because right now you're either completely at the mercy of RNG, or you set up the previously mentioned basic weapon relic build, where you have a weapon that's already catered towards what your final goal is going to be before you've even started the expedition. Either total chaos or true consistency is the name of the game. I think having rerolls for boss loot would be a little nice middle ground. The game isn't made for everyone, and frankly, it shouldn't be. This is a Souls-like roguelike game after all. It's not going to hit with everyone. But I don't want it to lose interest in the eyes of potential fans due to it being a bit rough around the edges, because some harsh quality of life issues can really cripple a game, and a lot of players will make up their minds and never return if they consider a game unfun or bad, even if those issues later get fixed. I'm looking forward to seeing how the game continues to evolve and what changes may come after people have played for a little bit longer. We've already got duos and stronger bosses on the way, so we'll see how things go. Let me know your thoughts down below, whether you agree or disagree with anything I've said. Maybe share some of your experiences, positive ones, negative ones, or just stupid things. You know, what were your random teammates like? What was the worst example of lack of coordination, or the best example of coordination that you've seen? Do you only play with friends in Discord calls that you know, or are you a lone solo queue warrior like I often play the game? I don't think there's any right or wrong opinions necessarily about this game whatsoever. Whether you love everything about it and wouldn't change a thing, or you have a few things you'd like to change, or you just despise the game entirely. All of this is just personal preference and anecdotal evidence as to whether or not a game is fun. It's completely up to you, so I'd like to get a discussion going down in the comments about what you think could be done to either improve the game, or whether you just wouldn't touch it at all. But with all of that said and done, I've got to get out of here. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again next time. Have a good one. Oh, also, fuck this Augur boss. This thing fucking sucks.